pretty sure this heard you clear your throat. You good? Everything good?
Pardon?
Sorry, we just had McDonald's before this, so we're gonna get some of them nasty coughs.
Get my clear my throat. My bad.
Let's take a second. I'm gonna mute both mics. Let's get a couple more seconds of off the mic throat clearing and see if we can get into this. 3, 2, here. We'll do some jaunty throat clearing music. And we're back.
All right, God bless. Thank you.
Welcome to the second episode of the Natural 1's podcast. Yeah, we're back. We
With new technology too.
New technology. In the past 2 weeks, I've spent way too much money on this podcast, but
it was worth it.
It was worth it. So we got a new interface. We can both listen and hear ourselves just fine. I hope the audio is nice and good. It's looking a little light. Tell you what.
Pardon me.
Yeah, well, we'll be dramatically coughing and hacking for a little bit. Ooh, got a bubble. All right. Well, we should start off though. How have you been these past 2 weeks?
It's been good, man. Missing this.
Yeah. What you been up to?
Well, first week after that, just work and school, going well. Got rained out a couple of days, and then of course spring break happened. So
yeah,
out of school, I got to sleep in for most of these days.
Aside from working, did you do anything with friends or family over spring break?
Over spring break, I went on a trip to go climbing up in Austin.
Right.
And then I went on a mission trip with our church that I go to.
Nice.
So for 2 days, we went and helped facilitate games and stuff for a camp.
That's cool. That's a good thing. You know what I did? Nothing changed because I worked, except it was relaxed because a lot of the stuff at work calms down for that week. People go on vacations, but I didn't, so it just worked. We have a 5th roommate at my house now. Cute as a button little puppy.
That is amazing.
Yeah, may or may not join us. What have you been doing D&D related?
D&D related?
Yeah, past 2 weeks.
Past 2 weeks? Well, of course, consuming as much content as I can. So
yeah, consume all of it.
Yep.
Every last one.
Oh, that's hard to do in a small amount of time.
Yeah,
but slowly getting there.
Well, what content have you been ingesting?
Well, of course, I'm trying to keep up with Critical Role. I've been behind.
You're on campaign 3 now, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm on episode, I think, 20 of.
Yeah, I am so far behind. I'm now like 50 episodes behind the campaign 3. And I still have like 20 episodes to go on campaign 2.
Please, I need you to finish.
I'll watch some tomorrow and maybe tonight, depending on when we wrap this up. What have I been doing? I told you this earlier.
Yes.
I had a D&D accomplishment as what I should have done a long time ago.
Yeah, you told me about this.
I read the first chapter of the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Goodness gracious.
Every page.
Your soul. God bless.
Every page.
Goodness. Every page for a chapter. It is kind of rough.
It was good though. I mean, there's stuff in there that I didn't realize I needed to know which is funny because, you know, as a dungeon master, the first thing you should probably do is read the DMG, but it is dry. It is so dry.
It's so hard to read.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good. I learned a couple of good things that we can touch on in world building, but the biggest thing that stuck out to me in that was justification. So they have a big thing for creating a world that anything can go in D&D, but as a DM you should provide a justification for why it's there or why it happened. So you can have a volcano that shoots out molten chocolate in the middle of a desert, but try to explain it. And the simple explanation could be as far as God's playing tricks.
Oh.
But
I mean, that is a great point.
Yeah, you know, would have been nice to know. I mean, I think the big thing about being a DM is answering your own questions. So if you say, I want a town here,
why do you want
a town here? Okay, what does that town do? How does that town survive? Is it a little farming town? Is it the capital of a massive empire? Or is it kind of somewhere in between where there's got to be some sort of trade? So farm town, and they touch on that in the first chapter. The first chapter is all about building your initial world.
Yeah.
So they touch on that about a farm would be their industry would be agriculture.
Yeah.
So they would send food and crops and some limited supplies to larger cities for money and supplies they can't do themselves. Whereas a larger city probably has some farming around it, but maybe there's a huge agricultural area and all that. So very fascinating. I highly suggest after I get through the 9 chapters that is the DMG. Nah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It was good.
It'll be. It's something on my to-do list.
The books are that tall, bro, and it's just so much. Like, you know, I always read before bed. I really should just find a time, like after work, go exercise, come back and do some reading.
Mm-hmm.
I found if I put on some D&D music,
something that's cool.
Yeah, it's way better. So highly suggest it. I found a great track I'll have to send to you, and it's like an ambient 3-hour ambient track called the Astronomer's Great Lost Library or something. It is so sick. The music is so beautiful.
Well, I will have to get on that myself.
Yeah.
It'll still be a rough read for me.
Yeah, it is a rough read. I'm getting back into enjoying reading. When I was younger, I did quite a bit, and then I stopped. Because I think our culture today has moved on such a fast pace, and reading is often not fast paced. It's slow. Take your time, enjoy the story. So unless it's like The Hobbit or Harry Potter or something. Also, a lot of stuff I read at work is technical manuals, which is just it's so dry. Yeah. It's so terrible.
Yeah, I think that's one thing about nowadays is everyone has instant gratification of some form, whether it be on their phone or
their
friends or something of that sort. So,
all right,
getting back into reading, I think, is a thing.
Yeah, it's a great time to kind of be alone with your thoughts and just enjoy a story. I realized I didn't.
For sure.
Taking a listen to the audio, so vamp on some D&D stuff really quick.
Vamp on some D&D stuff?
Yeah, okay, bro.
Well, I'm gonna be real. This is a hot take. Owlbears? They aren't it.
What did you just say?
I said owlbears? They're not it.
They're not it. Why are they not it?
Why are they not it?
Why are owlbears not it?
I think they're overused.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Well, here's just an off-topic question.
Go on.
What is probably the most overused enemy archetype?
Goblinoid. Yeah, because of the Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, goblins have kind of been ingrained in culture of like as being the bad guys, even in a lot of games like Dungeon Siege and all that, or Divinity. You're fighting ghouls and goblins and stuff. So, or humans, human bandit. What do you think?
My question to alter this question a little bit is, why not go into like make it into a culture then with those things? Because I don't think a lot of games do actually dive into the background of those creatures and like the actual society that you could see.
Yeah, that's very true. Most games don't tell you where the goblins live and how they live and what their society is like. And that's something the Monster Manual does really well, is talk about, in categories. Like, what do the hobgoblins do compared to the goblins, compared to the orcs? We touched on the orcs last week. Maybe we'll talk about hobgoblins, because I've read up on that before. So I've cheated a little bit. But yeah, that's a very good point. Critical Role. Campaign 2 at least explored really well. I don't know about Campaign 1 because I never finished it. But that's kind of the crux of Campaign 2, at least a certain way in. These creatures that people in one side have been taught to loathe and hate have their own society. And it's like this weird gray area.
Yeah, I don't think it gets talked about enough.
Yeah,
is the dynamic that could bring to a story, I think, is really big. It could drive your story in a much different direction when you give humanity to what everything is perceived as, like your enemy.
Yeah, and you find the common ground that the goblin still has to find food to put on the table. Probably buy some sort of clothes, unless goblins are really
like tribalistic.
Yeah, like kobolds. Kobolds, you're probably not gonna find a kobold like high scholar that's just in their makeup. But I mean, even goblins are often just portrayed as dumb and very like, they just kind of throw themselves into combat. They're like the grunts in Halo.
They are.
And even the grunts have like a significant lore. I don't know it, but I know they haven't, because Halo's lore is actually
ginormous.
Yeah, pretty deep. Some of it's really dark, but yeah, that's something that's really good about D&D. And this is kind of the first thing I wanted to talk about tonight, is why play D&D?
Why?
What aside from the usual, just like to have fun? What is D&D really good for? For players, and it's something I think it's a good reason why players should play it. A big thing for me, and it doesn't have to be in D&D. It could be any. We've talked about this. It could be any RPG. Pick your favorite. A big thing about playing, especially, is being able to step out of your comfort zone as a person with no consequences. No real world consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to TTRPGs, just in general, being able to kind of pull yourself from what's going on around you to like engage in something different, forget like what's going on, and just focus on this singular attribute, this game. And I think it brings a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah, absolutely. It also lets you explore perhaps an aspect of yourself that you dislike, or that might be a little uncomfortable for new players, but an aspect of yourself you wish was different.
Yeah.
For instance, I this is no secret to my friends, I struggle a lot with self-esteem and a little bit of imposter syndrome and just general feeling of self-worth. So it might do good for me to make an extremely confident character and push myself to actually RP that in the game. Because a lot of my characters, if they're not just straight up silly, tend to be more reserved and awkward because that's my comfort zone. So maybe the next time I play, I'll take a paladin or someone who, or maybe a bard who is extremely charismatic, and then I have to force myself to at least pretend to be charismatic.
Yeah, being able to open up out of your shell, especially when you're around people that you're comfortable with, especially then, makes it so much easier to step into a character that would be otherwise out of your own personal character.
Yeah, absolutely. And you doing that without you knowing gives your party permission to do that too. Because the issue with a lot of new players is they're scared of trying new things and definitely scared of RP because that's the more personal side of it. And if you've done any acting in the past, it'll probably come more naturally to you because it's the same thing. You are acting out a persona. But if you come to D&D and your main focus is just hack and slash, which is totally cool, and it's something I want to touch on later, but that's, to me, one of my favorite things I've heard about, why would I want to play an RPG? Is the idea of exploring things without real world embarrassment or consequence. Sure, your character might do something really stupid or embarrassing, but
I mean, that all stays at the table.
Yeah.
Unless you choose to share.
And a big thing for new players is be open and encouraging, but, and this is something for DMs is especially, know how to read each other. And if something goes too far or too personal, have a discussion. With DMs, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think that is a skill that has to be acquired by whoever is DMing, because they're the head of the table at the time. So their ability to read the situation and kind of control what happens, I think, is a big part to contribute to the table, because it's their job to make sure everyone at the table is enjoying themselves no matter the circumstance.
Yeah. If you're not having fun,
why are you doing it?
Yeah. And if your DM is leading you down a way that you're not comfortable with, definitely, if it's that urgent, stop the game, take a break and take the DM aside and say, hey, I would appreciate if we worked around this. This is something personal. If it's something that you could wait, get through the moment, it might be tough, then definitely after the session, have a discussion with your DM. Ideally, that's what session 0 is for, where
you establish boundaries, the DM's expectations along with the player's expectations of how the game will be played, and everyone's attitude towards the game itself.
Yeah.
Excuse you.
It's the stupid McDonald's, man. What was I gonna say? I just completely, the McDonald's stole my thought.
Lost.
But that's what session 0s will help do, and it's important. This is what I was going to say. It's important to lay down those ground rules in your session 0 as a DM, including things like this class is not allowed. Give a reason, because oftentimes your players, if they wanted that, will go, why? I wanted to play that. And you might have to go, in this world, the gods are silent. There are no clerics.
Yeah.
Which presents a whole new dynamic.
But that is, and actually kind of bridging back to the start, what is session 0?
What is session 0? What is session 0?
So session 0 for most people is not containing any of the actual story itself, but the start and creation for your players and of the world. So the DM will bring all your players together and you'll go through character creation if you haven't done it beforehand and establish who your characters are in the world, where they come from, and what are they doing. And that gives a chance for the DM to explain the world that they're playing in, and again also setting the ground rules for the campaign or one shot or whatever TTRPG you're playing. The ground rules for the game.
It's a good tone setter too, and it's a chance for, I don't know, I haven't run a lot of session 0s because we haven't done a lot of campaigns. Sad. But I would definitely give the players a chance that if in their session 0 there's something you didn't like about your character, now's the time to figure it out and change it and talk to the DM.
Yep, and just it also gives it a chance to meet the player, everyone else that you're playing with as well.
Yeah, and if you have people traveling together, it's a good chance for them to have some backstory. If you have groups of 2 or something, by the time they all get together, they've already had a little bit of adventuring time.
Yeah, and there's a small bond between those 2 characters that can make dynamic later.
Yeah, so this character might feel more protective of this person because they know him better, but more willing to leave another person behind that they hadn't met at the start.
Yeah,
session 0s are very important. More people need to do it. I wouldn't run a session 0 for one shot, any aspiring DMs out there, because it's a one shot. So if anything's weird or awkward, about a character build or something, it doesn't matter. You can always fix it before another campaign. Something, by the way, I did want to touch on that I kind of missed on the first episode was we kept talking about, like, if you want to give D&D a try, go find a friend who plays it. So I want to touch on, what if you don't have a friend that plays D&D?
Ooh.
What would you do?
Well, there are a lot of resources online that you can find. I believe one of them, not Dimension 20, Roll20.
Yeah.
They have like open source games that you can join, but those are all online. So it'll be a bit of a different pace because you'll be using your computer or whatever the DM has planned. So it'll be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Other ways to do that is, of course, if you have a local game shop, you can always go in and join an adventurers league.
Yeah.
Which allow you to play games they do it like every Saturday or every other Saturday with preset campaign one shots and stuff that you can continuously go to get to play.
Yeah, it's something I've wanted to try, but I've also not wanted to try because I think because I've played enough outside of Adventures League, it'd probably be very weird for me at this point to go into a group of completely random strangers that might change from week to week. It might be something you get used to.
Yeah,
but also we don't have a lot in our part of town out here. We don't have a lot of shops.
No, there's like 3.
Yeah, and the one that I know of used to be predominantly Magic the Gathering, which is same people as D&D, but that's changed. I've been down there a couple times. This is down the street from where I work, and like it's I don't know how to describe it. Like GameStop is different. It's like that. There's like a bunch of board games, puzzles, and comics, and that's all good. And then there's like 2 tables for players to actually play.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I played Magic the Gathering, if you went there on a Friday, there was like 10 to 15, 20 tables, and they're all full. Like it was like a row of those like plastic,
like foldable,
yeah,
tables.
Yeah,
Like you sit like 4 people at, but people sit like 6.
yeah. We used to see like 8. Man, that was the good times. So you see D&D, there's one group that I don't think it's Adventures League. I think it's just a group that happens to meet up there. But if I ever get the chance or to do like a convention game, I might give it a shot. That's something I want to try. Let's go to a D&D convention if it ever comes to town.
They're super. So I did one, and so this is a very biased experience and opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it.
That's fair.
It pulls some of the player agency that I liked
when
I did home games.
Adventures League.
Yeah, Adventures League.
Yeah.
So, because they're like by the book.
So
only
straight by the rules.
Yeah,
no homebrew.
Yeah, no homebrew.
Yeah,
I think that might have been just the DM that I had. For that game, but
I don't know if there's a strict rule set on Adventures League or not.
There is.
So I guess I'm sure homebrew is not allowed, or it's very, very restrictive.
Yeah.
Would you ever do if a D&D convention came to town and it wasn't Adventures League and it was just, hey, we're gonna run convention tables? Would you ever do that?
I think I probably would, because I love, as much as I am like ill prepared a lot of the time, I do love running games. Making adventures per people is so much fun.
Now I do think those are module based.
Yeah, so they get like they'll print out like a 1 session story.
Yeah,
and they'll run it through.
I'd definitely want to play in one of those at least once. So I don't know if D&D conventions come to our city or not. Surely they do. I mean, it's a huge city with a huge convention.
Probably up where I went climbing up in Austin. Usually have they're the big convention city.
Ah, that's funny because we're in Houston, and Houston's convention hall is absolutely gargantuan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's usually used for like concerts and stuff, though. I've never.
Or a rodeo, which is
just ending tomorrow.
It is ending tomorrow. I didn't know when it ended.
Yeah.
Not a big rodeo person.
Not a big partaker in the rodeo, I see.
Nah. But the convention center is like, I guess it's booked for a bunch of like petroleum stuff. But
yeah, it's usually reserved for like bigger like corporation events and stuff like that. If you want smaller, like non like oil business, usually like events, you go like Austin or San Antonio.
I'm sure those oil guys love to play D&D. You don't know, on the weekend.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know their lives there.
Hey man, that's fair. We just got so off topic. Where were we? We were talking about Adventures League and how to get involved. So one thing I tried back when the world was all shut down and you couldn't really go to someone's house to play D&D, I got on Facebook and I found a D&D players like DM and players looking for groups.
Ooh, okay.
And you could post, hey, I'm a player and I'm just looking for a casual group. And as a DM, they say, we're going to meet every Wednesday from starting at this time. But my issue with it wasn't with the group. The one game I joined, I only stayed for like 2 sessions because it was a Roll20, and I know their assets cost some money. Yeah. But it was $5 a player a week.
Wait, a week?
A week. So it's not, hey, give me $10 up front so I can pay for the module and materials. We were basically paying a person to DM, and
ew.
I did not gel with this particular DM. I thought they were very railroady, and that's a term we can discuss in the future. But I felt like I could not do what I wanted, and the DM was basically pushing us where they needed us to go. And I understand the story beats, and it was a module. I don't know what module. I mean, it was really interesting. The story was like the world had suddenly started mixing itself up. So like one day this location might be over here, and then the next day it's over there.
Well, that's kind of cool.
It is cool. I just like, in the players all were pretty cool, and everyone was letting everyone else, you know, they're being respectful of everyone's time. But I just did not like the DM. So after the second session, where I was getting kind of frustrated, I said, you know, that's when I was starting to go back to work. So this was like right as things were starting to open back up and schedules started to fill up again.
So
yeah, so it's early 2021, and I decided like I'd rather not play or just play over Discord with friends.
Yeah,
but if you know, I might give that a shot.
You give it another shot
in the future, just for a one shot or something. And if I like to DM, just send them a message and say, hey, if you ever do anything drawn out, you know, I'd love to play. But so I'm still in the group. Have you ever looked at anything like that?
Not often. I've looked at a couple of them, but never wanted to like commit to it.
Yeah,
it never really clicked with me to use those.
Yeah,
even though like I really want to like play, but I'm like, I don't like playing with strangers. That's just
stranger
personal.
danger.
Yeah, it's just personal preference. I'm again, like I'm a little jaded from the last time I did a like public session.
That was your Adventurers League one?
Yeah, Adventurers League. Again, that's probably just because of the circumstance. We also were playing with like a 5-year-old at the table as well, so that didn't help.
Yeah, I think you told me about that. That would be the weirdest dynamic.
Yeah,
to an Adventurers League, because like for me personally, I'm 31, so I don't know if I'd want to play at a table with someone who wasn't an adult.
Yeah,
especially if the DM's going to cover anything, you know, that means the DM can't cover more, you know,
some topics, adult subjects.
Even if the parents are okay with it, like, you know, as a DM, I'd be very wary of, you know, with kids.
Yeah,
not that, you know, I think it's cool that kids are getting into D&D, but you might like, if you become a D&D parent, you know, maybe you should run your kids games, and you know, that's up to each parent though. Yeah. So, you know, I ain't judging parental styles.
I was straight judging.
Judging.
Yeah, because the parents didn't even come to play Dungeons and Dragons. They were across the table, I think, playing Yahtzee or something.
Yahtzee, brother.
It was either that or like 40K or something like that. I don't remember.
Wait a second. There's a big difference between. I'm gonna cut the. Say that one more time.
Between Yahtzee and 40K, I don't remember. All right,
you heard it here first on this D&D stream. Yahtzee and Warhammer 40K are the same thing.
Yes, they're definitely the same thing, because you're both betting lives, man.
Hey, this is worth the money, bro.
Don't use the soundboard on me.
I think this is a successful second episode. We do have. Oh, we got 6 people watching. Welcome, by the way. I know it says sub follow 100 bits. There will be a free time of questions later. That's just if you want to ask a question now, or if you're just liking the stream. Please follow. Please, I'm trying to grow it. Share it with friends.
No, but back on the subject.
Warhammer, Yahtzee, what?
I do not remember. I'm just throwing.
Brother, all right, yeah, back on. Golly, sorry, I'm gonna be roasting you for a while for that. Continue.
I'm dyslexic. Leave me alone.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah, but no, the parents left their kid to the table. So I'm a little jaded from that experience to try to join another adventurers league.
Went and played their Yahtzee 40K.
Yeah.
Thank you for the follow, Prosper Pine. You get to ask a question. Welcome to the forest. Golly. Was there anything else you wanted to add to why TTRPGs? I know we covered the mental health aspect of it. Yeah, I got stuff to say. It's a good spot if you do get in a group with people you don't know. You can make really good friends with your group. There's something about that shared experience with each other that is a bond. And we talked about this last week, where there's stories that you can recall, and most of the time you won't go, oh well, my character, I had them go do this. Sorry, I'm about to get the McDonald's cough again.
Bless you.
Thank you. But when we recount stories, it's very much like, hey man, you remember that time we went down into that cave and that dwarf sold us like odd mushrooms and all that, or we kidnapped the barkeep and sacrificed him to what was probably like a demi-lich in the ceiling. That is a very true story from a recent session we just had like a couple months ago.
They drug a poor barkeep from his bar nearly halfway across where this island that he was living on, just to go sacrifice him, just like out of nowhere, so they could get what they wanted.
Absolutely. I was in the party, by the way. Who was I? I was a Galapagos the turtle.
Yeah, you were a turtle.
Your brother was a horse.
Not a centaur, not like a half breed. No, just straight horse. Like
absolutely.
Like Shadowfax, like straight horse.
Straight up Mr.
It was Mr. Ed, if anyone gets that reference.
And then we had a duck.
And then there was a duck.
Yep. That is how a typical D&D session can go, especially among friends. And it was a 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot.
Yeah, we still didn't finish that.
Yeah. Will we ever finish it though?
No, probably not.
But those stories, like people, you can laugh about it later on, or we haven't really covered this part, but if someone dies, you can commiserate over it. And if that character, if it's a long running character, can become a part.
Character death sucks.
Yeah, and it can affect you, and it becomes a part of you. So if that happens when you're in a party, take a chance to, in the game, maybe give the character a proper burial, or if there is no, say some last words, or and as a party afterwards, go out to eat and reminisce, because I guarantee you will be sad if you played long enough.
Oh yeah,
you get connected to that character. I've watched D&D content where a character dies that was spoiled to me. I knew it was happening and I was still like teary-eyed, and that was just how the characters acted it out and how the DM, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone who watches it. I don't even want to name the show. You gotta find it. If you know what show I'm talking about, and you can guess in the chat. Oh yeah, I guess I was gonna give a free sub, but if we're gonna punish them for spoilers,
I'd say if you can guess it,
I'll
go for it.
I'll give a free sub to if someone guesses it.
If not, I'd say just keep it secret.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Yeah. Another yeah, it's just fun playing D&D or any of those. It's just it's so different from your usual getting together and playing Yahtzee, Warhammer, and Uno and all that. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's a fun time. it's a slower time. I mean, that will probably be the only game you'll play. But you know, what else do you need?
It'll be so worth it if it eats up all your time.
Yeah.
As you can see, it has eaten up most of our time.
Yep. It's eaten up half of this podcast already. Well then.
To move off of that.
Professionally,
jump cut.
I was looking at our list of topics that we discussed.
We've only talked about one.
We have. That's great. I mean, that was good conversation. I hope y'all agree. Be sure to say hi in chat if you can, or
if you disagree, please.
And if you disagree, you're banned. No, I'm just kidding.
No, please do share your opinions, share your comments, questions, concerns,
suggestions,
we'd love
bits, money, donations. You know.
Yeah, we desperately need the money,
especially because I gotta pay off this fancy schmancy podcasting interface I got.
Yeah. Hello,
Duck Van Dyke. All right.
What up?
Hello, Duck Van Dyke. Welcome in. Glad to see you again. Something that I've been working on this week. It's been a little pet project when I haven't been reading the DMG. World building.
Oh boy, this is all you.
Yeah, we touched on it last week, and I was like, let's save it. And there's still a whole lot to cover. Oh, it's about to happen again.
Bless you.
I promise that I might not get the hiccups this time. We were talking about world building a little bit, and I don't know what, it's probably from reading the DMG, that world building chapter. I created a city, and I want to discuss the process for how I got to where it is, because I'm starting to make another large graph.
Oh boy. Can I be included in this one this time?
The city?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because something that is something that I've been thinking about profusely is actually going through the process of making world building, because that's something I never do.
Yeah. Okay, let me get a sip of the old energy drink here.
Boomer Dews.
This is my favorite shout out Monster.
Shout out Monster Manual.
Drink your Monster with your Monster Man. Oh, the torch light's not on.
Oh, no wonder why it's so dark. Turn that video on. Wow.
Now we're in the tavern. What were we even doing beforehand? So I started a city. The city's name is Arcanus, the stepped city. So what? What? What's humorous about that? Stop laughing at me.
Nothing.
What's
What are you doing, Step City?
Oh,
sorry, it was there. It was free.
Oh, well.
But what do you do?
We just lost all our views. No, I'm just kidding.
That's unfortunate.
So I didn't come up with the name first, because you come up with something fanciful for a name. Super easy. Like, I'm gonna come up with a city name. Give me a city description really quick.
City description? Okay,
like,
so
elevator pitch. How big is it? And what's its main theme?
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot.
Yeah, here we'll have some put on the spot music.
The music is distracting me. No, stop.
Think fast.
Okay. I think I got it. All right. So you are a medium-sized coastal city.
I am a medium-sized coastal city. This isn't the first time someone's referred me to a landmass. Medium-sized coastal city.
I'm sorry.
I've been trying to lose weight. At first I was a country. Now I'm a city. All right, medium-sized coastal city.
Medium-sized coastal city.
So I'm assuming my industry is fishing.
Yes, industry is fishing and
Keep going.
Stop it.
No, you started this. You started this. Don't throw this on me.
It was an accident.
Fishing.
So yeah, fishing and exportation.
Okay.
So trading.
So they fish, they trade fish, they get stuff. All right, I need a name. It's a coastal town. What's the weather like?
What's the weather?
Is it like a northern, like chilly port, or is it like a tropical?
I'd say tropical.
Okay. We've been given a name suggestion in the chat, but I'm gonna come up with one.
Oh, all right. Hang on. It's for those who don't know, it's Be Real time.
Oh, it's Be Real time?
Yep.
Okay, we'll be real on the stream. The name I would come up with is for a coastal fishing city. Oh, gross.
Gross name.
Tropical.
Yeah,
Clearwater Port.
Clearwater Port.
Tropical, I'm thinking kind of Caribbean, so the water is probably nice and clear and blue. And it's a fishing hub, so there would be a port for boats. Mm-hmm. And that's a very, a lot of old cities describe where they were. Not so much anymore. A lot of cities are named after people.
Yes.
Like Houston, where we are, was named after Sam Houston or something like that.
Mm-hmm. What was our suggestion name?
Vanica. I like that.
I like that.
Vanica to me speaks of a city that is nestled at the foot of a forested mountain. That's what that name speaks to me, but that works as well. See, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Arcanus, the stepped city. Stop. I came up with the idea of a city of steps built on the mountain. So kind of Minas Tirith.
Yes. Okay.
That was part of my, except so I had to think about who lives where in the city. Cities will have wealthier people and poorer people. It just, fact of life, there's rarely a city where everybody is wealthy or everyone is poor. Unless you're in
Elven City.
Unless you're in Elven City. This is not an Elven City. This is a multiracial kind of hub.
Figures.
So the way I put it is at the top levels, there's 5 levels to the city. At the top level, which is the highest on the mountains, level 5 is where the rich people are.
Okay.
And I decided this is kind of an oligarchical society. So the various families run it. So they live on the top layer. So I had to come up with a name for that. So there's 2 names for the top one. So I was thinking, what would be a good descriptor? Well, if you're up high on the mountain, you're going to get a better view of the sunrise. So I called it the Dawn Shelf. But it's more likely than not that the people on the lower levels look up with some disdain. So they call it the Depraved Shelf.
Ooh.
Because in my lore I cooked up for this city, the people up top are known to have very wild parties where debauchery and all sorts of terrible things are not just allowed but encouraged. So it's already smacks at corruption.
Yeah.
And so there's corruption in the city. You already have you have a story hook right there, is that someone in the lower levels wants to take down and establish a new system of government. I also established that this is a city state and not part of a country. They don't swear fealty or pay allegiance to another country. They do trade, but they are their own city. So the next thing is, okay, there needs to be a defense of the city. Well, the wealthy people would have their own army. So the layer 4 is where the army stays and where their training and their barracks are. But and also temples for the elite. So it's temples that people below that level cannot access. So I forgot what I call the guards. I came up with the name mentally and stupidly did not write it down, so we'll come up with something in the future. The guards, though, the question is, do the guards protect the whole city or just the elite? If they're hired by the elites of the city, you could argue both ways. So the way I went was, the elites of the city are cruel, but they're not stupid, so they need to keep the rest of the city alive lest they get, in uprising. So they're not totalitarian, but they're just selfish.
So smart but selfish.
Yeah, kind of like politics today.
I'm not sure about that smart part, but shrewd more like it. Yes,
yeah. They know how to stay in power.
They know how to swoon.
So they know how to throw bones to the right people. So on top of protection, so people feel protected and can go about their lives, it's also a point of observance. So what I came up with is, from level 3 and up, it's just those soldiers. Levels 2 and 1, these soldiers are kind of like captains to a local militia, unless a big event, like if the city is attacked, of course everybody is.
Yeah.
But again, the wealthiest of the city are out of harm's way, unless something like a dragon comes in, which who knows? That might be the change of power. The chapter 1 of the DMG was talking about how to add world-shaking events to your campaign.
Yeah.
So maybe while you're trying to work to take down some corrupt politicians or political families at the top, a dragon swoops in and claims the city, and suddenly you're in way worse trouble than you were
before.
Yeah, the first time.
Ooh, this is another kind of offshoot question that
What's
I just
up?
hit on. What are some other, like, instead of dragons, mind flayers, which are I think universally the biggest used, what are other creatures that you might use for earth-shattering events or big events?
That's a really good question. Well, fiends are like fiends or devils, so perhaps somehow a gate to the hells opened up, and like greater demons are now, or a lesser devil. Yeah,
maybe one of the archdemons have just decided that they want the city instead.
Yeah, man, is Tomophos in the stack? This is a really good thing. It should be in the second shelf. While we touch on that, but yeah, see, plot hooks for your characters start to pop up. Yeah, you can just pull the whole thing out. I'm pretty sure it's in there. All right, pass it here, sir.
The beautiful Tomophos.
Yeah, this is a great book. So these are expansion books onto the monster man. I'm looking for the list of like yeah, give me this stuff. Might be our creature of the week. Anyway, I had another one picked out, but this might be it, or maybe we'll have two. But those plot hooks, that's the thing. Nightwalker, I've been looking for that. That's why I wanted to talk on the first time. Nightwalkers are awesome. All right, instead of flipping through it like a numbskull, let me just
look at the table of contents.
No, why would I do that?
Wow, what a goober. Doesn't know how to find a Find monsters in a monster manual.
Listen, Linda.
Excuse me, it's Deborah.
Hey. Is it not in here?
What are you looking for?
The list of like the devils and stuff.
Devil. Honestly, probably in just the regular monster manual.
Well, it's right there if you want to look through it. Here we go. Devils.
Oh, you found it. Never mind.
These are Ibashi. Yeah. This is something that I had read about when I was reading, like, just like thumbing through this and looking up. This would be a cool monster to throw into a one shot. Something that would be an awesome world-shaking event is that your leaders turn out to be like devils in disguise. So one of the ones I thought of is the Aminazu. And this is the description, and this is why I think it might be a good fit. Aminazus lead the infernal legions into battle and command the guardians at the gateways to the hells. They're arrogant, bullying, and ruthless. They're also highly intelligent tacticians and unfailingly loyal, qualities that the hellish archduke value. So you have someone who knows how to defend a city, but also to attack. So they'd be a really good field general. So you could have one be disguised as a benevolent leader and then turn tail when the time is right. Or another good one that I guess it's almost as common as a dragon is Rakshasas.
Ooh, yeah.
Rakshasas are really cool creatures. For those who don't know in the chat, what Rakshasa is a fiend, right?
Yes, fiend.
Are they fiend or are they a lesser, like a are they a demon?
I believe they're a fiend.
Now we can look it up.
Oh, we'll look it
up. Look like tigers or some sort of big cat. I believe it's the form they take.
Mm-hmm.
Their hands are backwards. So you see my hand? Imagine if it was like this and it closed like that, but my arm is still facing this way. So their hands go backwards, which is super bizarre. But that's the trait. Why? Who knows? But they're incredibly deceptive and smart, extremely dangerous, and they like to go in disguise and find a society to subjugate for their own greed or means. And it might be finally, as your characters are discovering why there's corruption spreading, they discover that this is a Rakshasa in disguise. But the cool thing about them that's also very scary for players, you can't really kill them.
Yeah, you just kind of banish them back, right?
Yeah, you kill them and they'll banish back to, I think it's the hells, and it'll take a certain amount of time. Their body will be reincarnated and they'll come back remembering you're the one that banished them. So it becomes, there's a way to fully, I think you have to travel there and somehow destroy their spirit. So you're talking like level 15 plus characters for that.
That, I think, is a great plot hook.
Yeah. And I know, other campaigns have done that. Rakshasa aren't the least common, but really for someone to subjugate a city quietly, they have to be very smart. So without a lot of force, if you want a silent coup or something, that you need a creature that's hyper intelligent and hyper crafty. So hobgoblins will not. They will just frontal assault the city.
But you, as the DM, have to be as crafty.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very important skill. You have to be able to outsmart your players.
Yeah, or just as good at faking your way at being crafty.
Mm-hmm. In this case, I am not that.
And if you don't, all right, guys, we'll pick up the session.
All right,
we'll figure it out. So I've not it's something I want to do, touch into subjugation and undercover. A big theme I wanted to cover, and themes are important for campaigns, just like a character. What story do you want your character to tell? As a DM, what theme are you trying to convey?
Yeah,
So
what story are you trying to tell around your players?
yeah, what's a theme, moral theme maybe you want to explore, like moral gray areas?
That's always a good one.
Yeah, moral gray areas are good because I have a couple lists of morally on my phone from that one page on Instagram of morally ambiguous quests to give your characters. So you have to deliver, you get contracted to deliver medicine to another village with little information. You deliver it, a bunch of people die, which you find out it was actually poison.
Yeah.
But you got paid a lot of money to do it.
So
how do you deal with that? It suddenly throws, and this is it throws some morality questions in. It's like, how do you respond to that? Is it your fault? You didn't know. It's not like they said, hey, this is poison, but we want you to tell them it's medicine. You were told that.
Yeah, so how your characters will deal with that will determine how your campaign will turn out, or just that will kind of arc.
If you want to throw in something real spicy as a DM, one of the people in the village is an NPC they've grown fond of.
Now
that's tasty.
Now that will turn your players against each other.
Yeah, because maybe there's the one player who really likes getting the gold. So let's just take this job.
We'll grab it and go.
Yeah, it'll be really quick. We're heading that way anyway. Let's escort these people to deliver this medicine. Or maybe instead of poison, it's an addictive drug, like a spice or soot or whatever. What?
Skooma.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Skooma? You don't know what skooma is?
No, I'm scared. Is there a joke with this?
No.
Okay.
It's the addictive alcoholic beverage that Khajiits like.
I didn't know that.
It's a Skyrim reference.
This is sad. Let me say I've never finished Skyrim.
It's all right. I like Oblivion. Controversial. I like Oblivion better.
Wow.
I don't know if that's
never played either.
I don't know if that's actually controversial.
No, like controversial would be like what would be? I like the original. Ooh, what's a good one?
Yeah, we're on the right side of history. That's fair.
Controversial would be like, man, 4th edition was the best, most refined edition of D&D ever.
Okay, now you can stop talking.
Controversial would be like, man, I thought that OGL thing was great. It was awesome. Really benefits the company and the players. Not true.
Not true. 4th edition is like banished from any form of media.
Yeah, there's some people that still play it, but most people have jumped on the 5th or stay at 3.5. And then you get the games where they, like, for fun, play 2nd or 1st edition.
Yep.
Which would be fun, but it's actually super restrictive. So I think 5th edition is kind of where it's at.
If you're not playing 5th or 3.5, 3.5 is mainly for people who have been playing long enough that they want to challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit more challenging than 5e.
5th is definitely generous with the loot. And the gold, especially in modules.
Yeah. Oh, some modules. Depends on how you play it.
Yeah. I try to be a little more stingy with magic items because they're special.
I like to.
You like to pass out the loot.
Yeah, I love to pass out the loot because as soon as I pass out the loot, that means I get to use bigger creatures.
Oh, see, that's the reason.
Mm-hmm.
So this city,
oh yeah,
the 3rd level is the common area. Very few people live there. It's all shops and marketplaces, and it's the one spot where the upper crust and the bottom lower level people will meet. Not often, because if you're at the level 5, you probably have someone else pick up what you need for you. But they might have business and be down in that area. So that's a big marketplace, and the only people that really live there are the shop owners. Level 2 is not slums, but
common folk.
Level 1 is like the farmers, the poorest of the poor in the city. And poor in the city might mean one thing compared to another. They might all have housing and be fine, but compared to the wealthy, like you might get a gold a week for your professional, whatever it is. Whereas up on the top of the hill, you have people that could spend a few thousand platinum and not care.
Yeah,
like we're talking about that level of difference. So it'd be like living next to like Elon Musk, and you're working like a typical 9 to 5, which is just a completely different thing. And a big thing for me is how do those two sides see each other. And the way I would play it is that the top level acknowledges and might throw bones, especially to kind of the middle class of the city, which I guess would be layer 2 and 3. And kind of glances over the farmers, except when they need food. And if the food is not produced, there are going to be demands. And so there's this tenuous piece that they do just enough to stay out of like violent insurrection, but there's a growing unrest, and I think that's where I'd insert the players in, is political unrest. And that's, to me, follows a more traditional high fantasy of those are the bad guys, except it's
and
not.
Also kind of throws in that moral gray area too. It's like, what really is going on? Who's really behind? Like, what effect will the players have on the like social and political environment if they do anything? Yeah,
that's true. That's very true. And when is someone considered really bad? Because surely there's corruption from the bottom to the top. It's just the top seems to be more on display, and they get away with it because they can pay off people who they can pay people off who accuse them and bribe and swindle and all that. And I came up with that theme because I don't know where it came from, but I've always looked at massive wealth and flaunting of wealth with a good bit of disdain personally. So I think it's something I want to explore. Not that, if you've worked very hard for your money, I hope you enjoy it. I think the big thing is flaunting. Like, if I was ever like a billionaire, I don't know if I like go to Dubai and all that. I say that now, I can't predict it, but I was thinking like, if for some reason I became like a huge streamer and I was making, good money off of streaming and YouTube and all that, I would probably just go buy a small house and invest it or donate it somewhere. You get what you get for free, but I think a big thing is if you become famous, you're expected to live a certain way. And I really don't like that certain way, especially in celebrities, which is why I'm not huge on celebrities in general. Yeah, I know it's kind of my hipster note of the day.
Yeah, but your hipster punch through on that one.
Yeah,
but I think the dynamic because in that scenario you can choose both sides technically.
Yeah,
and still have room to justify your actions, whether it be like, fight the system, get rid of go the Robin Hood route, kill the rich, feed the poor.
Well, and here's another thing to think of. what happens if one of your characters comes from a vastly wealthy family and you're here in this city where there's a powder keg ready to ignite? What if they have ties to that family?
Yeah.
It can get super deep, and that's where your players' backstories come in.
And I think that's where player agency kind of comes into play.
Do you smell that? Sorry.
Yeah. Is your house about to blow up?
I don't know. Anyway, hey, if there's no episode 3, you'll know what happened.
Yep.
I think another theme I've wanted to explore is sickness. And plague.
Ooh, I was tossing around an idea of doing something like that with one of the next games we play.
Yeah.
Is a plague that is struck the countryside.
Yeah. I thought about that too. And how would you explore like that? How would you, from like a first level to, let's say 10th level, 1st to 5th level, how would you?
1st to 5th level, I would say it's all rumor and not necessarily this big like event that's happening, but more or less things that just get tossed around in taverns or mentioned here and there.
Yeah. So I've thought about that in a very similar way. Like you are in a tavern and you hear someone talk about how the harvest wasn't good, or there's maybe you go to your favorite tavern and the food you wanted isn't there
anymore.
Your beef, we lost a lot of cows this year for some reason. I don't know why. There's a bunch of them got sick, so you go, oh, that's unfortunate. And then the way I thought of it, and something I'd want to run, is some guy comes in who's like a regular loved NPC at the bar, maybe even by the party. They get their favorite ale and they start like vomiting and they basically just die in the bar right there. To me, that'd be the first hook to the players, like, oh, because then the barkeep gets incriminated.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts the players on a path of, we need to find evidence.
Yeah, put your characters kind of on a time crunch.
And do they think the barkeep is guilty or innocent? And you could play that as there's something in the water in that area. So it could be as simple as the first time that happens, let's say your character's like level 2 or 3, that somebody has found a magical relic that they can't explain and they were scared about, so they hid it, and they hid it down in the bottom of a well, and that was enough to taint the water that would have killed crops. The water was used for the ale in the process, and that's your first quest, is figure out, you look for that source, because at level 2 or 3 you're probably able to ascertain that.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, depending on the player.
Yeah. Thank you for following Orange3 Inc. You get a question at question time. Much appreciated. But yeah, it's a magic item. Might have a strange sigil on it, strange rune that no one can really pinpoint, so you have to take it to another city because there's a wizard over there. You can see how the campaign develops very quickly off of the most basic of story hooks. Is someone died in a tavern and we're trying to clear, so you use that item to clear the name of the barkeep, and you'll probably get rewarded from whoever you call, the mayor, the lawmaster, pick your favorite term, but it opens up a greater mystery.
Yeah.
Suddenly more creatures start attacking. let's say,
different creatures start attacking.
yeah,
Wolves are different. Deer look different.
yeah. There's
Meat's tainted.
They're mutated. Suddenly, it becomes a push for time because all the crops are starting to go. There's a famine in the land.
Mm-hmm.
You go to different cities, same, you might find more of these artifacts, and they're starting to make sense. You meet an NPC who's able to crack the code. You finally have a target, and very soon you have built a strong early campaign, in my mind. And a big thing with players, hooking the players in can be that simple. I ran one that I think would have been a way better session. I think you were here for this one, that had 11 players. Were you in that one where it was the giant party?
I don't
you okay?
think so. I'd have to see the play, like the player names and stuff.
It was some of our usual group, their friends like boyfriends at the time. I don't want to list names, but
you can tell me later.
Yeah, it was at my first house. That was a while ago. I don't know. You probably weren't hanging out with us as much. You were probably still finishing school.
Yeah, I don't think I was there for that.
Yeah, anyway, there were 11 players, and I will never do this again as DM. For aspiring DMs out there, keep your party size like 4 to 7. Probably if you're really new,
6 is always max for me.
Yeah,
6 to 7 is.
I prefer 4 or 5.
Yeah,
it lets everyone get their turn in. 4 is, by definition, is a party in D&D. 4 is a party, but this one, I really liked the hook I had. The problem was there were too many people. So I don't even remember the name of the city, but it was supposed to be a port city. The players would come in on the ship and they go to the tavern for the evening to get rooms. As they're sitting around talking to each other and getting to know the barkeep, which was a golden dragonborn, very burly and muscular. That will come in later. There's an explosion, like as they're talking, and when I ran it, it was really cool because I sat there and I said, do what you need to do, and I'd comment, and then I'd wait for a time and just go like, boom, a huge explosion rocks the building, glass shatters, you are all not, make your dexterity saving throws. Whoever failed it, you fall into the ground, you're unconscious.
I think I was there for this.
Yeah,
because I remember like everybody but like 3 people were awake.
Yeah, which made the combat hard. So it's in an empire. That's what I remember. Mm-hmm. And it was disgruntled rebels against the empire trying to topple it. So basically an act of terrorism. There was a statue of the emperor in the port, had been blown to smithereens, and the result of that explosion was the tavern getting attacked. The fight it's supposed to be too hard for the players to reveal that the barkeep was actually like a 10th level fighter. His name was Adrax Baharush.
Yes, I was. Okay, so I was there for this because I remember I was knocked unconscious, but I got up the next round.
Yeah. So they finish the fight. Adrax comes out, sword blazing, great sword. And that tied into another campaign idea I had, where his brother Gesh was a politician in another continent. So above the mantle was a picture of Adrax with his brother Gesh. Mm-hmm. So Adrax is a big burly, and Gesh is more lithe and more of a thinker and a politician. Yeah. I believe I had that right. And I ran that twice. The second time I ran with a different group of friends, and it was a smaller group, but we had started so late and we weren't feeling good. So this one player, it was awesome. He was very inquisitive. So he searched that ship from top to bottom. And I was like, my boy, this ship is just to get you to the story. There's a little bit But he's like, yeah, I want to go down to the bottom of the ship. I'm like, okay, you do that. I want to look around. Making a perception check. Rolls well. There's a bunch of crates in storage and food. I want to open a crate. It's got food and supplies in it. Is there anything in it? There's nothing here. It's a supply room. Next floor. This is the cannon room. You are quickly ushered back up to the top deck. He breaks into the captain's office, which is my one and only Finger and Broadback, level 20.
Oh,
He's at that point I converted him to a level 20 barbarian, and he's just like, he's done what he came to do, and now he's sailing the world and exploring. And he was gonna write a story that can come into the future. It's all interwoven in my head. This is what I think about when I'm like out doing stuff or like doing mundane stuff at work. And they finally got there, and I got to the explosion, and everyone's like, well. And the combat took for because people just weren't rolling well. Man.
Rough combat.
Yeah. I think though let's take a quick breather because I need to take a quick breather. But if you want to vamp for a second,
I will entertain.
Yeah, hold on.
Entertain the people. No, I couldn't tell.
Don't spoil it for the people. Be right back. If you have a question, go and put it in chat. We'll start answering.
Yes, please. Drop a question. Drop some. I must be entertained. Oh, hold up. I ain't dancing for nobody. Hang on. I dance for no man. I dance for bits though. I'm just kidding. No, I won't. No, but please ask of me many things. Ooh. What's the most creative world or story I've been a part of? Okay, by far the most creative, because I don't play too much with other people. By far, it has been Brendan's worlds that he creates, because he is a storyteller, very well spoken, very thought out. And when we go to play and he's DMing, it is a masterpiece, in my opinion, of world building. But of course, me and our group of friends that play most of the time are all a bunch of goofballs. So we'll like bowl around in this magnificent made world and we'll be a bunch of goofs. Like, we will absolutely destroy what he's created. Why am I this is not the new roommate that was discussed earlier, unfortunately. But I guess he can sit on the couch next to me and answer questions as well.
I'm back from totally not having to go to the bathroom middle stream. What did I miss?
What is the most creative world or story you've been a part of? This is a great question. I'm bad with names and things, so I couldn't name the world.
It was Yahtzee 40K.
Yes, it was definitely Yahtzee 40K alongside Battleship Star Galactica.
No, oh. Yeah, I heard it was like Trek Wars.
Yeah.
Gosh. It's the most creative story. I'm trying to think. I mean, you've been the DM for like most of.
Yeah, and
it's either been like you or me.
Yeah, so I'm not very big with like the in-depth story creation of worlds.
Yeah,
I have very basic like skeletons. The one time I did do like I did a paragraph of description for a world,
Yeah.
and I did nothing else. And I was like, it'll happen when it happens. It never happened.
Yeah.
To finish that out.
I think I have an answer that will answer 2 questions. So
Okay.
Delta Supercross's question and Orange 3's
All right.
says, when do you stop world building and actually start actually playing? That's also
So
a
that
great question that I don't have a great answer for, but I have an answer.
I have a decent answer for that.
Okay, let me try to answer both questions and get your answer.
Go for it.
One of the most creative worlds I came up with was, well, first, one of the most creative worlds I played with that you've DM'd was the one where we woke up in a battlefield, which is me and your brother were the 2 players. I really want to go back to that, and I know he'd be down, so we gotta schedule that sometime. We woke up, we were both soldiers, that we were like the last remaining people in the army that we knew of. And so we meet up with each other, the iconic duo of Finger and Broadback and Caden Gallahorn, inseparable. And I don't remember what ended up happening. We find this like dude with a lantern. We beat him up in a portal, take the lantern with us, and like kill like a blue drake or something because we take the scales. That's what I remember of it. And excuse me, there was the world where everything was dark.
Yeah.
That was a very cool one. We only did 1 session of it. I don't remember who all played, but that was I really enjoyed that one. I had a plot hook for the longest time that tied into Magic the Gathering, and this was before Wizards of the Coast started. It was Fingerim, my boy, was bringing people along, hiring people to sail with him on what was supposed to be a proving trial for like an adventurous guild, but he had an ulterior motive where he had heard a myth of a portal that transported him to another realm, not another like plane, like another world,
Like a completely
yeah,
new set of universe.
And so as the goal was, as the players were supposed to be going along, a storm pops up, and his thing is, I'm going to sleep, whatever character is supposed to man the helm, just keep it away from the storms. So you see a storm, start to steer around it, I'll figure it out in the morning. So they turn from the storm, another storm pops up and it conjoins with the first one, keep turning, eventually they're surrounded, the ship sinks, air quotes, and they spawn in the MTG plane of Kaladesh.
Oh,
where
so
everything is kind of like a Fey realm, but everything is kind of topsy-turvy. Everything's very spiraled, and the world is permeated with a substance called aether, which is like a magical liquid. And so it would have a kind of steampunk, but it's aether. So there would be cars, helicopters, boats, but like not modern. Like
still that
there were-
steampunk-esque.
yeah.
Still that bottom age, still
Yeah.
like still discovering.
And
the
I had
age of
even
discovery.
gotten as far as trying to make up there's a planeswalker, which is a type of card in Magic, and their characters, and there's kind of like the wizards. They guard the planes they're from, and this guy's named Dovin Bon, and he is a Vitalkin, which is kind of like a blue person. They're very like even keeled people, and that was it. So the second question is, when do you stop world building and start actually playing? That is a great question. My answer to that is never. Not that you don't start playing. As a DM, if you're a DM that's really into world building, you will always be world building. Just like players often sit there, if you have D&D Beyond or one of those, they'll cook up player ideas.
Yep.
But let's say you get in a campaign and you are playing, you will have to world build as the players get to that spot. So what I would do is, if I'm doing a straight like level 3 to level 20 or level 3 to whenever, you world build enough to get them started. But so you world build your main city, like their home base basically, and some stuff around it. as soon as they leave, they're about to leave that, and as DM, you'll know. Start working on world building the next thing and asking questions and tying it in. So there's definitely, as a DM, there's not a spot where I'm going to world build. Now it's done. I'm going to play as. I'm going to world build a framework enough for a player to be thrown in for a basic story, and as it develops and their backstories tie into it. Let's say your character's a wizard and they came from essentially D&D Hogwarts. Now you have to write that in. That's world building. So I hope that answers.
Well, yeah, world building never stops.
Yeah.
As Brennan said, when you play Dungeons and Dragons, when you start a campaign, world building stops when the campaign ends. And even sometimes it doesn't stop past that, because you'll continue using that world in other games you play. That's a lot of times what we do is we'll use bits and pieces from Brendan's world or small pieces from like the small world that I've built to continuously play, and we'll just bounce from place to place and contain stories, but still in that same world that we built initially.
By the way, since I think we're going to close pretty soon, free questions, no follows or subs. You can ask what you all want. We'll hang out and chat and answer some questions.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
There's one idea of when the playing starts. What I would say is, if you're a DM, I guess, let me ask: are you a DM or a player, or both?
Or wanting to be?
Yeah, if you want to be a DM, I'd say the initial world building stops when you feel like you have enough material to run a smooth session. Okay, you're wanting. That's awesome. Yes. I'm glad you're wanting. How long have you played, for one? But that's awesome. DMing is so fun, and that's how I'd say you world build enough that you have a framework that if your characters want to know about the blacksmith in the town, you don't have to cook it up on the spot. You can go to like a little list. Let's say you have a paper describing the town that you're in. Shops, blacksmith, name of the smithy, name of the person that runs it, kind of what they sell. And there's lists in the player's handbook of like common. You want to buy a longsword, it costs this much, and so have an idea of that. You don't need to go into the family lineage of the blacksmith. You just need enough yeah, Delta Supercross says ideally every session should have some kind of action or event rather than just exploring. Yeah, same for us, Orange 3. We have both played a while, but not as much as we'd like. But we're also both DMs, so we have the fun on this podcast looking at it from both lenses.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as you feel like you can comfortably guide players into a story, that initial world building phase is done.
Almost, yeah. But the thing is, your comfortability will change with how you feel your players will react.
Yeah.
So like for me,
it's a guessing game.
Yeah. So for me, when I DM a session, I have an idea of what I want the story to be like, and the world develops around the idea.
Yeah. Here's a huge thing for you, Orange 3, is you're a new DM. I want to warn you, and I know Zach can back this up. Your players will take your story off the rails, and that's where your world building kicks in, and your ability to move a plot hook to another place. Now, as you get into it, you're probably going to start cooking up a lot of stuff. So here's some tips. I suggest you do what I've finally started to do: read the DM guide, at least skim through the important nuggets, find a map building tool. If you want, use a pen. I use Incarnate. They have a free and a paid version. and that's all you got. But be prepared for your players to derail. And what do? Improvise. Rule of cool should be rules as written. So if your character does something really cool and it doesn't completely demolish your campaign, just let it happen. You can also have the fun with your players of, sometimes I've had it if I feel like the players aren't really paying attention and they start making offhand comments out of character. I'll still like, yeah, we should kill this guy. I'm like, all right, roll attack. No. Well, hey, you said you're gonna do it.
Do it.
Like, I swing in when I start on roll attack. So that's kind of fun. Also, before I miss it, thank you for following. Tagline goes here. That, I think you are my 110th follower.
Oh,
and only you can say that. Feel free to ask questions. I think we're spending this time answering questions.
Yeah, we're winding down here. So.
Yeah, this will also go up on YouTube. And I have a Discord. I think you can just do ! Discord, and we're gonna work on some crowd engagement and polls and stuff in the future.
For the
a subscription.
Let's go.
Hey, tagline goes here. Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
You're my favorite person right now. Yeah, ask away. Man, what else could we talk about while we wait for questions? Because I'm chilling. The energy drink has kicked in, which means I'll be up way too late.
Oh no.
Because I still have to be up at 5:30.
I have to be up. I don't have to be up as early, but I do have to get up at like 7.
All right, I mean, we won't go much longer. Night's young.
Night's young. I'm still gonna be up for like an hour.
Yeah, I'm gonna be playing Assassin's Creed. I've been playing Assassin's Creed 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, on world building. I love world building.
Speaking of Assassin's Creed, they have really good world building though.
Yeah, they have the advantage of historical background, but they cover it very well. Yeah,
I think their newest two,
which are what's the newest
like
ones?
Odyssey.
Odyssey was so good,
and Valhalla. I think those lack the historical background like the other 4 or other 3 rather. 4 is kind of like that gray area where you can get away with stuff.
Yeah. While we're waiting for some questions, hey, tagline, show off those new sub emotes you just got. Make them explode in the chat. I think a big thing too with here's something with world building and NPCs. What do you think is the most overused trope of NPC?
Ooh, most overused trope for an NPC? Ooh. It's gotta be like the grumpy old, like shore shopkeep.
Yeah. I think so too. Oftentimes.
I think that's always my go-to.
Yeah.
Grumpy old shopkeep. Ooh, this is a great question. Tips on DMing for kids 5, 9, and 11. Just started with my kids running Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Try to emphasize puzzles and RP aspects. Ooh, game tips to help.
I'm letting my roommates know we're about to end. Let me reread that. I only got half of that. Tips for DMing on kids 5, 9, and 11. Just start with my kids running Wild Beyond. Ooh, emphasize puzzle and RP. Help them get it. That's a tricky one because I'm not. Neither one of us are parents, so.
But I have DM'd for people that are a little bit younger than me.
Okay.
For a small time. So really it is kind of hard because you have to get the kids to engage with the game first.
Yeah.
When you mean like get it, do you mean just kind of get into the aspects
like understanding
like RP or like the puzzles?
well, if they're your kids, you have the advantage of knowing them better than anyone else. So less board game and invent their characters.
Okay.
Bringing kids are generally imaginative, but since RPGs are definitely not a typical thing for kids, I wish it was more, because I think kids are way more imaginative than adults are. And unless you are just for me personally, I think coming from some sort of ADD or something like that, I have a very, very vivid imagination from a kid to now.
I think a good way to get kids into it is how you describe the world and everything around them, and how you help them to describe their own character, what they see in their own head. Because Brendan is right when it comes to kids being way more imaginative. As they are kids, their mind is way more invested in the imagination of and creation of things than we are.
And as a parent, you have the advantage of knowing your kids well, and so you're gonna know what gets them excited. So if you have to deviate from the module
just a little bit,
a little bit to get them really hooked in, I hope this is good stuff, because I've not DM'd for children. I barely DM for adults. But
you DM for children.
That's fair. So think about, if you were to tell your kids like a bedtime story, what about that got them interested? How did you describe it? And Wild Beyond the Witchlight is probably a great module, because it's a fun carnival. It's not like a very dark like Ravenloft.
No, it's the perfect module for it too. So taking those like module inserts and the story and kind of craft it geared towards the kids that you're playing with, so know what they're interested in, whether it be like the superhero, so like Marvel or DC or something of that sort. Try to kind of craft it into like a superhero story almost.
Yeah,
just kind of change it to what you know that what gets them like super excited.
Yeah. So, and again, this is not so much about getting them into it, but as a parent, you have the luxury of deciding what you want your kids to experience and not experience. So if the module starts to go down a path that is like, oh, I think it's a little too mature, maybe we can revisit it when they're older. Homebrew that section. Figure, come up with something. I think kids would probably love the Feywild. A lot of kids would, because the Feywild is where all sorts of fanciful things happen.
It's straight magic.
Yeah, straight magic. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to know. I hope you pop into a future stream and let us know how that goes, because that's really interesting, and I'd like to know your perspective on it. We've been going though for almost 2 hours. Since we got the world building, here's the world. What do you think of it? Periodic table version of Avatar.
Like Avatar The Last Airbender or Avatar the movie?
Yeah, this will probably be our final question, because my roommates want to get on with the puppy in the house that they've been having to keep cooped up. Last Airbender. I'm not sure what I mean. I'm not sure I understand what you mean by periodic table. Can you elaborate? Just a touch there. While we wait for that answer, just so y'all know, because I think we're about to wrap this, we will be doing this in 2 weeks. I think, when's Easter? We will break at Easter and resume after, probably, because I'm extremely busy during that entire week. Let's see, we're on 18th. So April 1st, April Fools will be our next one. I assume you're free?
Yeah, I should be.
So
I'm not drowning in homework.
Just so y'all know, this is every 2 weeks. On the off week, I will replay the episode, and tomorrow it will go up on YouTube. So they'll be in my Discord, and if you have friends you wanted to see the episode, well, first of all, I appreciate you stopping by. But that's where you go share it. So I hope you stop by and give that a like. but that's the schedule we're going on. So
hopefully we're gonna try to keep to that schedule.
Yeah, if there's not, and we can't, please be patient with us, because we both work our own jobs. Tagline, I appreciate that so much. Instead of Earth, that's actually really cool.
Ooh,
so instead of Earth, fire, air, and water, it's things like hydrogen, gold, copper. The elements can be controlled if it takes up more space or mass. Okay.
So with that in mind,
because the periodic table is so dense, I would probably boil it down into the subcategories. So
you'd have to kind of iron out what are your like main 4 or like main 5. Like select a few as your like main. These are like the main. What are they called? Like elements.
Yeah, I'm looking
of
at
the world.
What it's called. Metals, non-metals, and metalloids.
Yeah, there you go.
So I would probably split it, but in that particular, I was planning on boiling it down for sure. So in that particular subcategory, maybe different people, let's say in a non-metal, those would kind of be like your airbenders. So someone has a power to move, to do something with oxygen. So I don't know, man. You just sounds kind of Final Empire-ish. I don't know Final Empire, but I'll take your word for it. But yeah, you've got me stumped. I'm gonna have to think on that and come back to the next episode.
Yeah, but for sure that's a great idea. But boiling it down to like the smaller groups and then deciding
Mistborn series. Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, sorry, you're good. No, but yeah, boiling it down to the smaller groups and then deciding how they interact with each other, whether it be peacefully or like at war or troubled, is a great kind of plot setting that you can throw your players into.
Yeah, and certain elements don't go well together. That's something to think about. And do you include the human designed elements that like a lot of the radioactive? That's a very, I don't know what to do with like Einsteinium or something, but maybe anything in like the radioactive category that could be the enemies, because they're dangerous to be around. Their very presence is a danger, and contact is even more dangerous. And there's not just short term, there's long-term effects. So you create a story of maybe you're trying to remove, I don't know, that's you have stumped us. I'm a fan of messing around with these things. Always have big questions. Hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we love those.
All right, we are getting late and my roommates want the house back, so I think we're gonna call it a night here. So I just want to say I appreciate everyone who stopped by, all the questions. This was absolutely amazing. I did not expect we'd have this many people stopping in. So we will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you for following or subbing / tagline goes here, Orange 3 Inc.
Yep,
and there was another one. There
was one more.
I want to get it. Orange 3. Prosper Pine and Delta Supercross. Thanks for your questions. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow. And we will see y'all in 2 weeks. I don't know if we have a end screen, so
not yet.
I'll design that
we appreciate y'all stopping by, listening, and dropping some questions. Feel free to go join the Discord.
Yeah, here, let me put the Discord link in chat. And there's a D&D spot there that please contribute. Yeah, because right now it's just
drop your ideas, your thoughts, comments, and we'll be there hanging out in the forest.
On that note, y'all have a good night. I know exactly how I'm going to end this. You know how I'm going to end this?
Please, the elevator music.
This has been your episode of the Natural Ones podcast. Thank you. Good night.